If you follow everything that I reveal to you in this video, I guarantee you can get 40% reply rates with cold email. And now you're probably thinking, what the fuck? Who is this guy? Is he lost his mind? He's making this big, bold promise. Now, I'm gonna tell you something, there's a couple of caveats. If you follow everything that I tell you in this video word for word and you don't get a 40% reply rate, then I'll personally meet with you one-on-one. I'll do an audit of your process and I'll coach you and guide you so that you can get there and achieve the 40% reply rates. And on top of it, I'll throw in 6 months free of upticks so that you can use it to help you manage the process. So that's completely free. If you don't know about upticks, you can go check it out. This video isn't about upticks, it's about getting you 40% reply rates. Now, before I get into the video, I have a quick little public service announcement for you. It's just a forewarning. I have shit handwriting. It's terrible. You're not going to be able to read it, but for some reason, I'm still going to write on the whiteboard, just in case you want to remember it, and it helps me kind of organize my thoughts. So bear with me through my terrible handwriting, and let's get started. In order to get 40% reply rates, there's some really important things that you need to make sure you're aware of before you even get started. So first of all, this process that I'm gonna show you here in just a second is really meant for higher ticket offers. So maybe you're an agency and you have recurring revenue, you're selling retainers, maybe you're a consultant, you charge higher price points, or maybe you just have some business where it's recurring revenue. This is not meant for people selling, $97 products and, one-time tech products that are lower ticket. If you have a higher ticket offer that's a one-time product, then you can probably get away with this process depending on your price point. So that's the first caveat. The second caveat is that you need to do everything right, okay? So every little thing that I revealed to you in this video here is gonna matter. Every single little thing. It's no joke to get 40% reply rates. And if you get it, if you hit the 40% reply rates, then you can transform your business. But if you don't do these steps that I show you and you try to shortchange one of them, you're not gonna be able to hit those results. But if you hit those 40% reply rates, what that can do to your business. So soak up every little thing that I show you, all right? So the very first thing that you need to be aware of course, it's gonna start with your list, really, okay? So first of all, in terms of your list, some of the biggest pieces to it is you need to isolate one persona, okay? So what's that mean? A persona is isolating one person, one variable. So maybe it's a location, might be a job title, it might be an industry, it might be a company size, all right? You need to isolate the problem that you're trying to solve for one person, and you can't scatter it too much, all right? So I can't stress enough that your persona really matters. The second thing in terms of your list is you want to do batches. Small batch lists. You can't go and grab a lead list and have thousands of people in it and just blast as many emails as you want, okay? We'll get into some of the specifics on how to do that in a little bit. The next thing you need to do with your list, I'm not sure where you're getting your lead lists from, wherever you're getting them, you need to make sure that you revalidate all of your email addresses. So you can't just trust whatever system that you're using that they validated the emails, because emails, they go stagnant, right? People leave the company, stuff like that. So whatever lead list system you're using, you need to revalidate those. Now, a system like Upticks, when you upload leads into the system, it'll revalidate them for you. But whether you're using Upticks or not, make sure you're using some sort of third-party software, zero bounce, never bounce. Use a top-tier validation service, okay? So revalidate them, and you usually only want to send to valids. And if you want to get a little bit more risky, you can send to catch-alls. That's a topic for a different day. So, but that's super important, all right? The next piece, all right, I'm running out of room. Pardon my handwriting here. You need to research every single prospect. That means you can't blindly send a bunch of emails to people. So again, if you're a higher ticket offer, you can afford to do this. The ROI of the activity will make sense to do this. You're probably concerned about that right now, right? But if you really want to get 40% reply rates, you need to start thinking about sending less volume versus sending more volume. So researching your prospects, what that's going to do is it's going to allow you to get rid of leads that don't matter, that you shouldn't even email. Now, it's not a rule that you need to email every single person in your list. You're going to need to research and scrub your list down as far as you possibly can. All right? You can't just send a bunch of emails. Let's just say you go and get a list of 100 prospects, 100 leads, right? There might be 30, 40% of them that it doesn't make sense to email. Okay? There might be more than that. You can't send emails to people that your offer is irrelevant to and get a 40% reply rate. Okay? So these are some of the basics in terms of your list. There's a lot more, of course, that goes into it, but these are the main points. So you need to isolate one persona, job title, company size, industry, stuff like that. You need to send in small batches. Okay? So you can't send thousands of emails at one time, especially because we're researching all of the leads. And you need to make sure that you're validating every single email, make sure all your emails are valid. So that's really, before we even get into the rest of it, that's step one in terms of your list management, all right? Now, the second aspect of this is getting an awesome open rate, all right? So you need You need an 80 to 90% open rate in order to get 40% reply rates, okay? So maybe you're used to sending cold email and getting 30%, 35% open rates. Sending less volume is, of course, going to be a big part in doing this, all right? But if you can't get 80 to 90% open rates, there's no way you're going to get a 40% reply rate. Just think, to get a 40% reply rate with an 80% open rate, half of the people that you email need to reply. Now, I'm going to show you how to get the reply in the next steps here, all right, and how to structure and what to say and stuff like that. That's coming up. But in order to get that 40% reply rate, you've got to be able to hit an 80, 90% open rate. So what does this mean? All right, this means you need a healthy domain. You can't have a domain that's been blacklisted, that you've been using for other cold email and sending out lots of volume. If your domain's healthy and you've sent a lot of volume in the past, you can probably still use that domain, but you need to make sure it's a healthy domain, okay? The next aspect to getting a really good open rate is your subject line. Okay, so your subject line should be custom. Now, you're probably used to sending some sort of repeatable formula framework for your intro line or your subject line, but you really need to do a custom subject line. And I'm gonna get into this a little bit more in just a second, because your subject line is gonna be based on your actual intro line and how we customize the email and how we approach your prospect, all right? So this is the next step to getting 40% reply rates. You have to get an 80, 90% open rate. So you need to follow these steps to do it. So, and some of this will help too, right? So sending small batches, sending in personas, validating all your emails, researching your leads, all of this stuff snowballs into getting these results, okay? But in terms of open rates, you gotta hit that. Your domain needs to be healthy, and you've gotta have a custom subject line. All right, real quick, so if you're enjoying the video so far, aside from my handwriting, which is freaking terrible, I'd love for you to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you get alerts every time I upload a new video to YouTube. It'd really help us out, so I really appreciate it. So the next step in getting 40% reply rates is writing a custom intro line. All right, so we have a framework called Cold to Gold, and our Cold to Gold framework, what it involves is writing a custom intro line. Basically what this is, it's 1 to 3 sentences to open your email that's completely custom to your prospect. Now you might be thinking this is gonna take a lot of work, and that's the point of all of this stuff. To get 40% reply rates, and the reason why I'm telling you this is for higher ticket offers, because the ROI needs to justify the activity. All right, but in order to get a 40% reply rate, which if you get that kind of result, what that can do for your business, you have to customize your emails. And the way we do it is it's actually half customized. Now, in the best case scenario, you might customize the entire email. But with our cold to gold framework, we use a custom intro line. It's 1 to 3 sentences. All right, so how do we do those custom intro lines? So the first thing that we do is we compliment and we boost ego. Now, I'm not saying that people are egotistical. I'm saying everybody has an ego. And in order to basically sound different than anyone else, first of all, what we're doing with this custom intro line is we're showing them we actually did some research on them and that we didn't just blast, this big email blast to hundreds and thousands of people at one time, right? So we're showing them we've actually done some legwork. Then getting into it, we want to compliment them on their past successes. We want to write this intro line based essentially on who they are as a person or what they've accomplished in their life or their business. And we do that by complimenting their attributes, their successes, and stuff like that. And ultimately what that does is help them boost ego. So essentially what this is doing is it's implementing a level of human psychology into the process, making your prospect feel good. So we're showing them we've done research, and we're also then now complimenting them. It's almost impossible, not quite, to not get a reply if you do this right. Now, not everyone's gonna reply. That's why, I'm saying 40% reply rate and not 100% reply rate, because some people just aren't gonna reply to you, right? But if we do it right, it's almost irresistible not to reply. Okay, the rest of the email matters, but this intro line is super, super important. Now, in terms of this intro line, and I'm gonna show you an example, I'm gonna do a screen share in just a minute. The next piece to this is that you need to go one level deeper on your research. So a lot of people, if they do customize cold emails, they're doing a little bit of lead research, or maybe they're using an AI tool to go out, and it's basically just looking at like the LinkedIn About Me page or the company page, maybe the website. And usually what people do is they just scan and they look at the stuff that's just right on the surface, right? And they regurgitate things like, hey, I noticed that, you're in the construction business or something like that, right? And you've been a founder for 5 years. They've heard that same thing over again. So what we're trying to do with this one level deeper is find one thing that you can use. You might need to get creative with it, right? We don't just want to regurgitate what's already out there on the internet. We want to find one thing, one angle that you can find to approach them that's going to stand out. Okay, I'll show you a couple things, but some examples of this might be if you're going to prospect me, for instance. I have a lot of content, right? So I've got content on YouTube, we've got a university, we've got a Facebook group, we have things all over the place. There's a lot of information about me. So what you'd want to do with someone like me is you'd probably want to go and actually watch some of my content. And you don't want to just say, I watched this video of yours. You actually want to pull something out of that video and actually reference it. Okay? Because anybody can go out and grab a title of one of my YouTube videos and say they watched the video, but if you actually go and watch the content and find one little nugget from that piece of content, that's going to stand out. Now, you're probably thinking, well, not everyone has content, right? And I understand that. Not everyone has that kind of content. So when you're prospecting somebody that doesn't have a lot of information on them, you might need to take that same approach, even with something you might find on their website. Maybe it's, about their company, how they got started. People have a lot of information usually on their website about how the company started, how they got their start, the history. There might be little nuggets in there. So I'm not going to go in detail on that right this second. I'm going to show you when I get into the screen share some of those little nuggets, all right? Okay, so the next step is writing more than one line, all right? 1+ line. It's really easy to just write one sentence, right? And most people are thinking, I need to keep this cold email really short, right? And you still want to keep it concise. And I've seen cold email teardowns of my process with cold email, and people sort of criticize the length of the email sometimes. But if you're doing this intro line right and you're complimenting them and you're boosting ego and you're going one level deep on your research and the angle that you're going to take to approach them, doing more than one line is really just going to strengthen that first line. All right? And when we're doing this, we're actually formulating our subject line. Okay, that's how we're going to write our subject lines. Based on whatever you come up with in this intro line is actually going to help us write our subject lines. Okay, that's how we get this. Well, I always write the subject lines last. All right, so compliment, boost ego, go one level deeper, and write more than one line. So with all of that, what I want to do is I want to hop onto my computer quick. I want to do a screen share, and I want to actually show you the process that I would go through to do lead research and finding a couple little nuggets and ultimately picking one of them to approach our prospects so that you get a sense of exactly what to do. And then from there, I'm actually going to show you how to write that intro line, okay? Or at least from those profiles. You don't want, it's important to understand that when we get to that step, you don't just want to copy exactly what I say. You just want to take the concepts and you want to use the creativity in how we approach somebody so that you kind of understand what we're trying to do and how we're trying to separate ourselves from all the other cold emailers. So let's hop onto the computer, do the screen share, and then we'll come back to the whiteboard after that and finish up in this last topic. All right, so now I'm going to go through the process of going about doing the lead research and then ultimately writing that intro line. So I've got my lead here. I picked one out of our database. First of all, we always schedule a task inside of Upticks to do this. This gets scheduled for somebody. And all of our leads essentially have a LinkedIn profile. So the first thing that I do is go look at JG's profile. And I mentioned a lot of people, essentially just look at the surface level stuff like, what their title is, what company they are. They might look at their About Me section, look at some activity, and then essentially try to formulate an intro line from there, just using this information. Maybe they go over to the company page, right, and read some information, and you can definitely get results and write really good intro lines. Now, one of the steps that I want to show you, and you can do all that stuff and you could find one thing by doing that, but I like to go one step deeper. And this is the example I'm going to show you. And this happens actually quite a bit. And you are going to run into leads where you don't get this kind of information, a lot of them, and you can always skip leads, as I mentioned. But in doing the research and going one level deeper, I explored the Rubin website. Okay, and if JG ever happens to go through my training, I hope you kind of appreciate the angle and stuff here. But I would actually go to, so what I discovered essentially in the website, so of course, I scanned the website, looking at some, headlines and all that kind of stuff. And sometimes people just go to the homepage and look at that and then try to write an intro line. I like to go to like the About Me, or in this case, they had a tab called Story. But a lot of times there is an About Me section on a website and stuff like that. But what I found, and this is the one level deeper concept that I was talking about, because the story gave me the little nugget. So essentially what happened is I read the story about how JG's like great-great-grandfather had actually started and was doing marketing for Bull Durham tobacco. And there's this funny story. They would go paint this mural, and it was an anatomically correct, as they say, bull. So basically what they did is they painted the bull without the fence. So I'll leave the rest to your imagination, right? So essentially his great-great-grandfather was a really good guerrilla marketer. And the Rubin Rink actually changed its name. It was previously named something else. And then to pay homage to his great-great-grandfather, he changed the name of his company to Rubin Rink. Okay, so this is the one little nugget that I found in looking at the LinkedIn profile, the company page, and the website. So as I said, you want to go one level deeper. This is that one level deeper, finding like the one little angle that you could use to approach somebody to really get an irresistible reply. All right, so let's head back over to Upticks. And the way we do this is we put a little intro line, just custom field. I'm not going to show you a training on Upticks here, but here's how I would write this intro line, knowing all of that information. Okay, so we want to avoid using the word I in that intro line. So I'd probably say something like super cool to read about your great-great-grandfather and his genius guerrilla marketing strategies. Okay, so now some people from there would actually stop and that's all they'd say. And in our framework in the Cold to Gold, I mentioned that we want to do more than one line. And, of course, some people are concerned about the length, but we want to build on that. Okay, we want to build on that first sentence. Then I would say something like, very inspiring that you change the name of your company to the Reuben Rank to pay tribute to his great work. Much respect. All right, and of course I've got some spelling and stuff like that, right? Okay, so let's break this down real quick before we get into the intro line. So super cool to read about your great-great-grandfather and his genius guerrilla marketing strategies. So we're complimenting, we're boosting ego. I found the one thing with this one lead that I would use to approach them, which I think is pretty good. And then to build on that, we said also very inspiring that you changed the name of your company to Reuben Rank to pay tribute to his great work. Much respect. So we're complimenting and we're boosting ego. And again, I'm not saying JG is egotistical. I'm just saying everyone has an ego, and we just want to elevate a little bit and compliment. We did some research, and this is truly what I'm saying here is authentic. I 100% mean this. It's really, really cool to uncover this. All right, now for the subject line, the way I would do this is we want to sort of basically use this angle is kind of our starting point. So how I would actually do it is there was a story about the anatomically correct bull, right? Anatomically correct bull was genius. That's what I would write for a subject line. Something along those lines, because it's personal to him. He knows the story, right? And then it actually, our intro line actually sort of kind of substantiates that and then builds on that subject line. So those two things really, really tie together. Okay. So I really hope this example was helpful. Of course, as I mentioned before, not every single lead is going to be like this example. And as I mentioned, you might need to skip leads. Okay. If you can't find enough information about somebody, it might be better off not approaching them. All right. Or you might want to approach them in terms of the company angle. All right. So from here, let's get back to the whiteboard. All right, so I hope that screen recording really helped you kind of understand the process that we go through in terms of doing the lead research and then how to actually write the intro line. All right, and it's important to understand that intro line, you don't just want to copy the example that I just gave you. All right, one thing that I've noticed with the coaching and the training, especially in the Cold to Gold course where I've coached hundreds of people, is people like to just grab a template and then just copy it and then swap out words, right? I've been guilty of this in the past. It's obviously a lot easier and it just takes you a lot less time. But it's important that you just take the concept and the framework and the creativity side and then implement that into your process and not just try to repeat, have some sort of repeatable formula. Getting 40% open rates, there's no magic pill other than just basically following all of this stuff basically to a T. All right, so the last step in terms of getting 40% open rates is having a strong call to action. Now this video is not meant to show you an entire email template. I'm showing you kind of the main important things. I've got templates up the wazoo to help you with this, but one of the big pieces aside from this intro line, doing the research, boosting ego and everything, is your CTA. Now, some people, you like to put links in there. They like to put Calendly links, just book a meeting with me. You don't want to do that. You just want to get a reply out of people. All right, and how do we do that? It's not enough usually, and you want to A/B test this. I've A/B tested it, and I use different variations. You might just want to ask people if they're interested in a meeting, but a strong hook might be something like this. Let's say you're a marketing agency, right? And let's just say you do Google Business Listing Management. So your call to action could be something like this. Hey, Mr. or Mrs. Prospect, I recorded a quick video for you on how you can increase your rankings in your Google business listing and increase your traffic. Would you mind if I sent that over to you? Now, I just made that up off the cuff, but the point of the call to action is that you're actually adding another layer and showing them that you are actually doing something more valuable for them, and you're actually piquing some curiosity. Okay, so in addition to customizing and doing a really good intro line, you've now put in a really good call to action that shows them that you've done some work. Now you're probably thinking, well, shoot, I need to create all these videos, right? You basically just create the video after you get a reply. So make sure that that process is repeatable and you can do something that makes sense. Now that's just one idea, okay? But that's worked really, really well for some marketing agencies that I've worked with, all right? If you're in a different type of business, you may need to adjust that idea and that strategy to your business, okay? So anyway, the point here with your call to actions is it needs to be a really strong call to action with a hook. Okay, so I hope you got a lot of value out of this video, and I want you to know, if you've watched at this point, this is a really short, compact, condensed version of some of the stuff that I teach in my cold to gold email method inside of Upticks University. Okay, and in that course and in that coaching program, I go a lot deeper on each one of those, and I make sure that every person who actually wants to implement this into their process, if you're a higher ticket type business, then this is a framework and a methodology that I 100% know you can use to grow your business. But ultimately, there's a lot more that goes into it than what I was able to show you on this video. There's more psychological triggers, the whole nine. So if you want to get 40% reply rates, implement this first. If you're struggling, I told you at the beginning of the video that if you follow what I tell you word for word in this video, that you can get 40% reply rates. If you implement this and you don't get that, reach out to me, okay? I'm all over the internet. You can find me, or you can just email me or email our support at upticks.io and we'll help you out. And on the topic of my Cold to Gold course, because you might have some questions, you can get the Cold to Gold email method absolutely free by signing up for a 1-year subscription to Upticks, the growth or the scale plan. All right, the course alone has a one-time price to it, but if you want to get access to it for free and you're a user of Upticks, then I can get you access to the course absolutely free, where I'll actually help you implement this whole thing and you don't even have to worry about it. So by doing that, you can really kill two birds with one stone and not have to worry about what system that you're going to use to manage this process, because there's a little bit more that goes into it than I was able to show in this video. And then also you're going to get the best strategy and the best help to implement this to get you traction with your cold email and ultimately start getting you that 40% reply rate, okay? So if you want some more information on that, I'll put some more valuable videos on the sides here so you can check out more content. Or if you just want to go ahead and book a call with us or check out Upticks, there's links down in the description for that as well. And if you want to join our community, we have a Facebook group. I'll link to that as well if you're not watching this in the Facebook group. So I hope you got a lot of value out of this video. For now, implement these strategies. If you struggle, get a hold of me. We'll see you on the next one.